Chad.
Don't say your grades. Oh no, not again.
What's wrong?
Claire gets stuck between Chad and Micah Chad. Claire.
Claire. Katie.
It's Julio. You just said it.
He named it now.
He changed his name.
Why can't it be Jeremy?
Can I shoot it? I mean, it's not gonna hurt him. But yeah, you can shoot it.
It doesn't have a living soul. It's only because Chad gave him a persona.
It has lots of knowledge.
Yep, we'll save it.
It has knowledge.
Think about it. If we put a math book in front of our chest,
I have got some
yeah.
copies
Would it
being
seem
made in the office. If you wouldn't mind checking on them, that would be great. Miss Dana was going to work on them whenever Miss Mitzi was finished with the copier.
Well, like a textbook. Tied together with thicker pages. Yeah, but
I know. Did you see the email I sent?
yes.
Okay. Okay, so hold on just a minute. So what I did is if I had not received corrections on worksheets 13, 14, or the radicals test for test 4, when I entered your original grades, I put a comment in the grading system that would have popped an email that said never received corrections. So that may be what she's asking about. Sadie. Sarah, this is from a late, that was email grant. Micah.
Well, you're
Wait, who were you clapping for, me or Chad?
Chad said he got an A, so.
Oh, that's good. I got an A too.
Why'd you say?
I don't know. Why you did that?
Okay. So now I will collect, let's see.
Are you trying to wake yourself up? That's not wake yourself up. That would be that effective.
I'm fully awake.
Okay. So now I'll go ahead and collect if you will have your test and your homework ready. Yes. Okay. Okay.
One time I went to church after sleepover and that's even the moist.
I can see myself doing that.
My brother was slicing cake. He was like, that's moist.
Oh, I hate that. Most people hate that word, moist. I love messing with people and
Okay,
just
with
saying it
music
over and over.
correctly.
I know, but I love going over to people and saying moist and just seeing their reaction.
It makes me so moist.
Moist. Some people it triggers, like, it makes them feel sick. I can say it, but it does kind of feel
It
gross.
triggers diabetes.
No, it triggers wanting to throw up.
My car has diabetes.
No,
Why
it
is
doesn't.
diabetes funny?
Just say, I had a friend with it. I don't think it's a laughing matter.
You were going to laugh. What?
Because we're used to it.
They're pointing fingers, they're laughing, and then they're looking around. Like,
What are they even talking about anymore? I think it's
Okay,
about
so listen, please. All right, so I've collected tests and homework. I had emailed if you were missing anything.
let's see. So if you did not turn in any homework or anything today that you know you're supposed to turn in by Thursday, make sure you get it to me by Thursday. Thursday we are out for Christmas. Okay. So what I'm going to have you guys do is, Chad, go ahead and move your bag. I'm going to have everybody shift around a seat because we're a little too crowded down here. So I want you to move your bag, and then I want you to shift up. And if y'all can all shift down one.
Jeremy's been doing it. Julio's been.
Yeah, so are the rest of the backpacks.
There we go. Okay. Okay, so on last week we started talking about inequalities. Okay, so that's going to be where we're picking up today. We're going to go ahead and look back at what we did.
You good?
He's stable now.
That's the first time I've ever seen that door open.
I looked it up. So dumb.
You were kidding me.
No.
That's right.
That would be awesome. Thank you.
I think we broke Claire.
Yes, I do that.
We all talking about.
That is not enough for me.
This not enough. Wait, Chad needs something cheating.
Okay, so you've got an inequalities packet coming. Go ahead and get it. Put your name on it. Evelyn, I'm going to get ready and email you this packet that we're getting ready to work on.
You know if your car insurance too.
Actually, let's see.
My friend calls people and tries to sell them a car insurance.
Thank you so much.
Do we have to do this for him? Or is this?
I don't know.
We're getting ready to talk about it.
I don't like this.
You see, Mike here does not like math because it's small and comparing like.
What?
Hashtag what are 3 things that you use in everyday life? You like counted down and they didn't say algebra 2 and they in the crowd was like, that's
Man, that was so funny. I almost forgot to laugh.
kind of laughing.
Talk very loudly.
Why are you like staring at?
We're on lesson 47. Wait, I missed all these lessons.
Yeah, so you're supposed to be going back and watching the videos. When your mom said you were going to be out, I emailed her and told her that all the videos would be posted. And so for you to get caught up, you've got to watch the videos to catch up.
What is your YouTube?
Hmm?
I was like, what should we type in to tell them to go on YouTube and watch these?
They're not on YouTube. It's
No, it's on, well, I mean, but I post them to YouTube.
Oh.
So just in case, so y'all know that whenever you miss a video, and if you miss class or whatever, it is expected for you to go and watch the videos from class, okay? So real quick, I'll go ahead and show you. If you haven't done this, I've sent the email, I sent the link a bunch of times at the beginning of the year. So hopefully if it's not, I'll go ahead and I'll pull it up real quick so you can see what it looks like. Actually, I guess I don't even really need to be doing it from here. I can just go. I need to go to mine, not Carter's.
put these like boxes there. Well, who one do you want?
Is that the iPad?
I think it's.
Making a event.
Yes.
Let's make it sound like that.
Here's a haunt. Here's a haunt.
Okay. So, I guess it would help if I had the HDMI cord plugged in.
Sandwiches. Everybody.
Who's on the Zoom?
Okay, so you'll know that if you just go to YouTube and type in my name, it's just Jennifer Fountain. But the main thing that you will know it's mine is because it says math. Okay, so I went ahead and made sure that there was some kind of icon, something that you can find. And so when you go through, you can see where each one is just labeled, whether it's Algebra 1, Geometry, Pre-Algebra, and it has the date. Okay, so whatever date that you miss class, the expectation is that you go and watch these videos to catch up. Okay. Now, if you have a parent that's willing to sit down and work with you and work through it, and y'all can do that together, that's totally up to you, but the videos are there for you to watch to catch up, okay? So if you miss a class and you can't zoom in while we're doing class, then you need to go back and watch the videos. So I think, Micah, your mom and I talked, and that's what the expectation is from Thursday, okay? So just know that that is there, okay? All of our Zooms that when I'm recording in class, that is all getting uploaded at the end of each day to my YouTube page, so that way you've got it to go back to if you have questions. Jonas, I need your mask all the way up, buddy. I need everybody's masks up. Right now, we're having a really bad outbreak. There are more families than we've had in a while. I know that just as far as the numbers are going, it's really bad. I've told y'all before, I don't want to be the mask police, but I also I don't want anything to happen. I was reading a terrible. I mean, it was so sad. I was thinking about this poor couple that got married. There was a couple that had a wedding, and somebody that came to the wedding got corona, took it to work at a nursing home, and 7 people died because of a wedding. And I was like, I can't imagine the guilt that I would carry knowing that my celebration, my big day, killed people. So it's one of those things where I know it's frustrating. I know it's not fun. I hate it too. I mean, I'm right there with you, but it's just one of those things where I'm not as concerned about me getting it. And as you guys, I'm sure, are not concerned about you getting it, but it's who it could potentially be passed on, especially with us getting ready to go into Christmas and seeing elderly family members and stuff like that. So it's just one of those things where it's better to be safe than sorry. And so that's where I am with all that right now, is it's better to be safe than sorry. It's a hassle. I don't like it. It drives me nuts. I can't breathe, but I also don't want to kill anybody. So, and the sad thing is I guess that's kind of the point that we've got to. Hopefully it's all going to start turning around. I would have never thought in March when we came home for spring break, would have never thought we'd be here at this point. I figured, hey, we've got, surely by Christmas we're done, this thing is over, but it's not. So we've just got to keep on living, but protecting those that we need to protect. All righty. So we started out on last week shifting our gears to inequalities, and I've just given you an inequalities packet. And so you've got your packets that we're going to be working with. We worked with lessons. What is that? What did y'all say? It's 45 and 46 is where we started on Thursday. So go back to 45 for a minute. Go back to lesson 45. Okay. So we worked on the left-hand column and the right-hand column in lesson 45. We worked with our inequalities. Remember that when we are dealing with adding or subtracting inequalities, we do it just like we would with equalities. We treat our inequality just like we do with an equal sign. The big difference comes when either I am multiplying or dividing. If I multiply or divide by a positive number, I don't have to worry about anything. But if I multiply or divide by a negative number, I have to flip my sign. If you don't flip your sign, your answer is wrong, okay? So y'all know that usually if you just forget a negative or something like that, I only take off a point or something, it will be counted wrong if you do not flip your sign. So like I said, from lesson 46, that's where we talked about where if we have a negative divisor, we have to flip our sign, okay? So as soon as you draw that line on your paper to show that you're going to divide by a negative number, I told you guys that my automatic is as soon as I'd write that negative number, I circle my sign to give me a visual reminder that when I write my answer, I've got to flip that sign, okay? Okay, so we start out, let's go ahead and look on at activities 3 on page 102. Activities 3, page 102. Go ahead and open up there. I'm going to come by and do a visual check real quick of activities 3 and 4, page 102. Okay, so I know you're catching up. 3 and 4. And you've got to catch up on page 102. 102.
Oh.
Page 102. We had activities 3 and 4. I've got 1, 2, 3 with no homework. That's amazing. Now, all right. Number 1, you should have something written in there because that means you didn't follow along when we did the video in class. Okay, if you have nothing on your page and you weren't absent and you were on the video on Thursday, then I work through these, okay? I'm not even gonna, okay. So let's go ahead and look at our answers for these because I did not check them. This will not be work that is turned in. This is an all or nothing assignment for today. So there won't be anything turned in for it. So we've got, let's say page 102. Okay, so in the top, we talked about how we would have to simplify before we can actually start solving with our inequalities, okay? So when we look at, we had the first 4, we did the last 2 in class. So you should at least have those written on your paper if you followed along in class. So in activities 3, you should have x is less than -3. The one next to that should be x is greater than -2. Then x is less than -2. And x is less than -2. Any questions on those? Any of those you would like me to work for you? Okay, then the next section we were practicing on clearing our fractions because that's what we're getting ready to start with our inequalities. Is going to be clearing fractions in our inequalities. And so the ones on the right hand side, we should have found that x is equal to 3 and x is equal to 3 on both of those. Either of those that you would like me to work. Awesome. Okay, so that was our homework assignment on those. Let's go ahead and look at your packets. One of the things I want to make sure is let's look and see the order. I'm not sure that when I gave it to Miss Dana, I necessarily put it in the correct order. So let's make sure. Okay. So if yours is not in this order, I'll need you to take it apart and let's put it back together. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because you're going to be working on it all anyway. Go ahead, and the first page you should have says solving inequalities number 1. If yours is not in order and you want to take it apart, feel free to take it apart and we'll put it back together. So your top paper, your top page should say solving inequalities number 1. On the back of it should be solving inequalities number 3. So on this one, go ahead and number it page 1. I don't put here, I'll just use my fingernails. I'll grab the stapler.
More than one of these.
So page 1, guys. Pull your mask up, please. Thank you. Page 1, page 2.
Page 2 is inequalities 3.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then, okay. Then go ahead. Inequalities 4 should be the 3rd page, but I think we've got a page in the middle, so just don't even stress about it. Okay, we'll just know. I mean, we're going to be doing the whole packet anyway. So, all right, and then we'll be working with absolute value inequalities in a little bit later. All right, so let's go ahead and start with solving inequalities number 1, the first page. Notice at the top, it's given us a few examples.
For inequalities 4, did you say figure 4?
Technically it should be page 3, but we're not even going to stress about it because you're going to be turning in the whole thing anyway. So, okay, so look at the top. We have some examples. So it says you're looking for X, show your steps and write your answer in the space provided. So you've got 7X is less than 56. So on each of these, you're having to divide by 7. So X is less than 8. Why did we not flip our sign on that one?
Because it was negative.
It's positive, it's not negative. Look at the one in the middle. I have X plus 11 is greater than negative 5. I'm having to subtract 11 from each side. So I find that X is greater than negative 16. Why did I not flip my sign there?
It was positive.
Hmm?
It was positive.
Well, we subtracted 11. Why didn't I flip my sign?
Because it was just subtraction.
Because it's just subtraction. Don't let it hang you up that anytime you've got a negative sign that you're flipping your sign. Okay, when you add or subtract, it does not affect your sign. It's only in the last example when I'm dividing by a negative number. So I have negative 2X plus 10 is less than or equal to 100. I don't know why is less than or equal to 100. So they subtracted 10 first and ended up with negative 2X is less than or equal to 90. Notice here, so if you want to go ahead and circle those negative 2's and circle the sign, that will help you to remember that when you're working through this, so like I would circle dividing by a negative and then circle my sign, that gives me an indication that I've got to flip that sign. Okay. So on this first page, numbers 1 through 12, you were just solving using your inequalities. Pay attention to when you need to flip your sign. Okay. Pardon? No, you don't need a calculator on these. You don't need a calculator on these. Okay. But you know what? I mean, it's fine. You can use a calculator. It's fine. We're in algebra. We're in algebra. We're good. Okay.
I have a question.
Solving inequalities. Yes.
So do you only flip the sign when the negative's dividing something?
Multiplication or division.
Okay.
So anytime you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, if you want to write that at the top of your paper, and let me both. So let me pull this up real quick and I'll go ahead and put this on the screen and then we'll. So this was the one we were talking about. So I said that when I divide by negatives, I'm circling that sign to help me remember to flip it. Okay. So if you want to write at the top, flip sign if multiply or divide by negative number. Okay, that way you'll have that visual reminder that you're flipping your sign. You're going to do the same thing for activities or in solving inequalities 3 on the back side. So we had 1 through 12 on the front, 1 through 12 on the back. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and look at solving inequalities number 4. So that last page that you've got, go to your last page. Evelyn, yours I think should be in order. Notice that 7, 8, and 9, for some reason, they got cut off. Let's just make sure that we know for number 7, it should be x over 10. Number 8 is negative x over 71. And number 9 is x divided by 10. Okay, so just fill in, make sure you've got those numbers. So the numbers that got cut off. And Evelyn, on this one, just do through 9 because our copies got cut off. So I'll just go ahead and actually, I had it out of order. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and cut it off. We'll just have 1 through 9. Now notice in this section we're dealing with, we have fractions. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to flip back to our book. We're going to look at lesson 47. So go ahead in your textbook, open to lesson 47. This section in our book is actually going to be a little more involved than our worksheet work will be, which is good. We won't have as much to do on the worksheet. But remember when we were previously working in, I guess it was the unit before, where we worked with solving equations that had multi-step problems, we had to clear fractions and clear decimals. What did I have to do first? What was my rule if I had an equation that had fractions and decimals? What did I have to do first? I had to clear my fractions. Okay, so working with inequalities, I'm doing the same thing here. So it says when solving algebraic inequalities with multiple steps, following the order of operations does not always work because of the variables. Follow these steps to make the process simpler. The first thing is to eliminate fractions. Okay, so you want to get rid of those fractions first. The next thing is to eliminate decimals. Now, first of all, let me back up to that. Eliminating fractions. How do I get rid of a fraction?
Multiplied by common denominator.
Multiply by the common denominator. Good. So remember, a fraction is a division problem. To undo division, I multiply. So if I'm trying to get rid of a fraction, then I need to multiply by whatever that denominator is. But if I have more than one denominator, I have to multiply by the common denominator, okay? Step 2, eliminating decimals. How do I eliminate decimals?
Multiply by place.
Multiply by a power of 10 based on that decimal place. Remember, if I have one place after the decimal, I'm going to multiply by 10. What do I multiply if I have 2 places after the decimal? 100. What if I have 3 places after the decimal? 1,000. Good. So I'm looking at my decimal location. I'm looking at how many places I have after my decimal to determine what power of 10 I have to multiply by to turn my decimal to a whole number, okay? So once we've eliminated fractions by multiplying, and we've eliminated decimals by multiplying by powers of 10, step 3 says to simplify each side of the inequality sign. Once I've simplified each side, it may be that I have to distribute. It may be that I have exponents. It may be that I have to combine like terms. That's what it means when it says to simplify each side. I am trying to make sure that I have everything condensed down where I don't have more than 2 like terms or whatever. I want to make sure that I've got like terms combined, that I have distributed, that I have dealt with exponents or anything else that might be there. Step 4, isolate the variable. This is where I'm going to have something is greater than something or something is less than something, and I start moving from side to side. Remember, if I need to move a positive from left to right, how do I move it? If it's positive,
Oh,
what do I
it's
use?
negative.
Subtraction. If it's negative, how do I move it? Addition, okay? So if I'm moving something from side to side, if it's positive, I subtract it to move it. If it's negative, I add it to move it. Then if I get to where I have to divide or multiply, then I go that route, okay? All right, so then we saw for the variable, and it says to remember to change the direction of the sign if you multiply or divide by a negative number. So we've got the example of negative 3x plus 1/4 is less than 2.95. So looking at this, what is the first thing I'm going to do? What is the first thing I'm going to do in this problem? What was step 1 that they told me in the book? Eliminate the fraction. So if I eliminate my fraction, what am I going to be multiplying by?
3.
I'm going to multiply by 3 because that denominator is 3. Then after I've done that, what am I going to multiply by to clear my decimal?
10.
How many places do I have after my decimal?
1.
11. Okay, so I know that I've got to multiply by my denominator to clear everything. So I multiply everything by 4. Then I'm multiplying by 100 to clear my decimal. Okay? So let's look through the example. So it says multiply each term by 4 to eliminate the fraction. So you end up with negative 12x plus 1 is less than 11.8. Then you have to multiply everything by 10 to eliminate the decimal. So now I've ended up with negative 120x plus 10 is less than 118. Now I've got to start moving from side to side because I have plus 10 on the left. I need to subtract it to move it to the right. So I end up with negative 120x is less than 108. Then I have to divide by negative 120, both sides. And when I divide by a negative number, I have to flip my sign. Okay, so I end up with x is greater than negative 0.9. Now, in this situation, we could either leave our answers as proper or improper fractions or as decimals. So what would my fraction be if I left this as a fraction instead of a decimal? If it's negative 0.9, how would I write that as a fraction?
9 and 10.
X is greater than negative 9/10. So you could either leave it as a fraction or you can put it as a decimal. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at classwork. Look at the first one. I've got 1/3 x minus 2 is greater than decimal 6.6 or 6/10. What is the first thing I need to do?
Get rid of the fraction.
Get rid of the fraction. So what does that mean I need to multiply everything by?
3.
Multiply everything by 3. So this is where I distribute that 3 to each term. So 3 times 1/3 x is going to become what? X or 1x, whatever you're comfortable with. You could either have 1x or x. All right. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6 is greater than. What is 3 times 0.6? What's 3 times 6? 18. So if I've got 3 times 0.6, think about I multiply and then I move my decimal one place to the left. So what's my number? 1.8. Good. Okay.
Wait, why is it 1.8?
Because if I've got, when I multiply 6 times 3, that gives me 18. And then I have to move my decimal one place. So if I have 0.6 times 3, 6 times 3 is 18. Put down my 8, carry my 1. So I've got there, and then I've got 1 decimal place to move my decimal over. Okay. So now how am I going to get rid of 1.8? How am I going to turn that into a whole number 18? Multiply by 10 because there is 1 decimal place. I multiply by 10. So that means I multiply everything in the equation by 10 or in the inequality. So that means I have to multiply 10 times x, 10 times negative 6, and 10 times 1.8. So what's 10 times x? 10x. What is 10 times a negative 6? What's 10 times 6? 60. So 10 times negative 6 is negative 60. So I have 10x minus 60 is greater than, what is 1.8 times 10? 18. So you should have 10x minus 60 is greater than 18. Quickly. What do I need to do next? Add 60 to both sides. Add 60. Add 60. So 10x is greater than, what is 18 plus 60? 78. What's my next step? Divide by what? 10. Divide by 10. So x is a proper or improper fraction or as a decimal. So I could look at 78 over 10. Let's say I wanted to leave it as an improper fraction. What does that mean I'm doing to 78 over 10? Okay, so 78 over 10, what are they both divisible by? 2. So what's 10 divided by 2? 5. What's 78 divided by 2? What's 70 divided by 2? 35. What's 8 divided by 2?
31.
So I said, what's 70 divided by 2? And we said 35. What's 8 divided by 2? 4. So 78 divided by 2 is 39. Who said that? Good job. Yes. 39. So we have x is greater than 39 over 5. I could leave it like that. I could change it. I could go ahead and use my calculator and divide 39 divided by 5 and have a decimal answer. Or I could go ahead and change it to an improper, into a mixed number. Did it say I could do a mixed number or not? I guess as a proper fraction, you could call it a mixed number. Okay, let's look at the next one. Negative 4x plus 1/3 is greater than 1.95. What am I going to do first? Multiply everything by 3. So I have 3 times negative 4x, 3 times 1/3, and 3 times 1.95. What's 3 times negative 4x? Negative 12x plus, what's 3 times 1/3? 1 is greater than. Now, I've got 1.95 times 3. 5 times 3 is 15. Put down my 5, carry my 1. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. Put down my 8, carry my 2. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. So I put my decimal. So I have 5.85. All righty. What am I going to have to multiply by to get rid of my decimal?
100.
I need to multiply by 100 because I have 2 places after the decimal that need to be cleared. Oop. But remember, each time I multiply, I have to multiply every single term. So 100 times negative 12x is going to be what? Negative 1200x plus 100 times 1 is 100 is greater than, and 5.85 times 100 is 585. I'm going to flip some air on. Are y'all hot?
Yes.
Okay. Y'all just have to tell me if y'all are ever hot or cold. I just didn't know if it was just me because I'm at the front of the room. Let's see. Okay. So we said that we have to distribute. We've got negative 1200x plus 100 is greater than 585. What am I going to do next? Subtract 100 from each side. And I have negative 1200x is greater than 485. What's my next step? I'm going to divide by what?
1200.
What kind of 1200?
Negative.
Negative. Bells and whistles should be going off in your head. Red flags popping in your eyes. Alert, alert, alert. Why am I having an alert? I'm dividing by a negative number. So that means I want to circle my sign because I've got to flip it. Okay, so x is less than negative 485 over 1200. Now, can we simplify this?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think we can divide by? All right, 485 divided by 5 is going to be what? If I got a calculator?
97.
485 divided by 5 is 97. What's 1200 divided by 5? 240? Is that what y'all said? Okay. 97 and 240. Can those be reduced?
Negative.
Oh, yeah, we've got negative. So can I divide either of those?
7 can't be reduced. It's a prime number.
Well, but I've got 97. So think about, what is my rule about division? Does anybody remember? So did you say 7 can't be reduced or 97 can't?
I said no, 7 can't be
Okay, yeah. So think about, remember from pre-algebra division rules where we talked about how if I add my digits together and they're divisible by 3, so what's 7 plus 9? 16, is that divisible by 3?
Yes.
No.
Mm-mm.
16
So I know it's not divisible by 2, I know it's not divisible by 3. Remember to divide by 4, I look at my last digit, and if it's divisible by 4, it's divisible by 4. Also, think about your times tables, okay? Usually when we know our times tables, we know common terms, or we know common numbers. So like we know 36 is going to be divisible, we know 48, we know 81, we know 49, we know 56, we know all kinds of numbers. Is 97 a very familiar number?
No.
No, because up around those numbers, I know 99 would be 11. I know 100 is divisible. I know 98 would be divided by 2, but like 97 is time, okay? So I can have this as x is less than negative 97 over 240, or I could convert that to a decimal. And as a decimal, it ends up being x is less than negative 0.40416 with the 6 repeating, okay? That's why I'd rather just leave it as a improper fraction, okay? As long as you know that that's as far as you can go and that it can't be reduced anymore. So if you leave it as a fraction, make sure it's reduced, as simplified as it will go. If not, you can always just put in your calculator, what is negative 97 divided by 240, and use your decimals. It's totally up to you, okay? Let's go ahead and look at activities 2. 1/5 x minus 3 is less than 1.2. What am I going to do first?
The fraction.
By 5.
Get rid of my fraction, so I multiply everything by 5. All right, so I end up with x minus
15.
15 is less than, think about 1.2 times 5 is going to be what? 6. Looky there, when we multiplied, we actually eliminated our decimal. So we don't even have to worry about that now. What am I going to do now?
Get rid of 15.
Add 15 to each side. So x is less than 21. Take a break. Just be careful of the cords, actually. I'm gonna mess up here. Let's see. All right. Thank you for helping with those puppies. Oh, and have a Merry Christmas too. I guess I won't see you.
So, what lessons do I need to catch up on?
Okay, so you were out last week, and so that would have been, let's look at your book real quick.
I did lesson 4.
Okay, so I see where you got this marked as homework. Have you done that yet? Okay, great. So that was 39. So you've done through 41? Is that what you said?
So we got that somewhere. And then we said you,
There we go.
all right, so, 42. We talked about parallel and perpendicular lines. We just talked about how if I was gonna draw, a line that was perpendicular to this one, we talked about how perpendicular lines have negative reciprocals, okay? So we just work through those, same with parallels. Parallel lines have the same slope, okay? Parallel lines have equal slope. So we just talked about these, we didn't have any assignments. Like if the slope of this line, so like the slope of this one is gonna be 1 over -1. So that equals -1. So if I had another one that had a slope of -1.
So there's -1.
Yeah, so it can either go down 1 and right or up and left. Either way,
So it's all gonna have the same.
it's all gonna, so if I was dealing with, let's say, I had a line and I had this point here and this point here. That's not perfect.
Beware of the cords. I just need to take the pencil.
Same thing here, okay? This one has a slope of -1. This one has a slope of -1, so these are parallel lines, okay? These have negative reciprocals. So here, this would be like if I had a line that was going through that way. Then the slope of this line is going to be -1, +1, which is -1. This one, if I had this point here and this point here, and it's going up and right, then it's going to be 1 over 1, which is a positive 1. So those are negative reciprocals. Okay?
So it's basically negative reciprocals is the same, but it's the opposite.
Well, but like if I had, let's see, like this one, let's look at this one. The slope here is going to be 1, 2, 3. So you've got -3 over 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I wish we would have figured out what to say. So look at this one. 1, 2. Okay, so look at this one. So this one goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So that's -3 over 2. So the negative reciprocal would be a positive 2 curves. You flip it, and one is positive and one is negative. So if it's negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. That's why I was saying, like doing these where I've got, -1 over 1.
So you basically
When I flip it, it's still 1 over 1, but here you can see it better. Okay. And then, this was just writing equations of parallel and perpendicular lines. We had already done that. So then I think probably we started off with lesson 45 and
I mean,
46.
I kind of got, I'm getting less than 45.
Good, yeah, so all you're doing is solving exactly like you do with an equation. It's just recognizing, yeah, so you're just using a different sign. But then if you divide by a negative number, you have to flip your sign. That's the main thing. So for homework, I think we did these in class. We did those in class. And then I think we did this in class. And then we did these 2 in class. And this was homework. And then we did these 2 in class and these 2. Okay.
So is that all the homework I need to turn in?
Yeah. Well, and you don't even have to turn it in. That's why I was just doing a quick checkup. So that's what I was just looking at.
So what about the ones like lesson 42 and 43 and 44?
So nothing was turned in for those. So there's nothing you have to turn in.
Do I still need to go over them?
I mean, it would be good for you to go over them. And if you can just read through the lesson and pick up what's going on, then you don't necessarily have to watch the videos. You can just look at the lesson, and if you have questions, you
So
can let me know.
I got this part.
So you
right
need
here.
you need to do lesson 45.
So this is homework right here.
I know we just didn't do that middle part. We just did the outside.
So I need to do both of these. And
Do both of those.
about- no.
Nothing there. Do these.
and this.
And then go ahead and do all of these. We did these in class, so that, and then that was homework.
So do I need to do all these?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, about the lunch thing, who do I give the check to?
You'll need to go to the office and find that out. I'm not sure who it goes to.
You okay with that, Sue?
My
Just a
I
quiet
meant to
minute.
go to the restroom when we showed up, but I had to tell my mom when I was.
See, it doesn't work.
Are you cold now?
Yes. Yeah. It's
I'm-
cold. It's so cold.
This isn't mine either.
Hurry,
Cold. No, it's right here. For some reason, I thought all that
Because
was
I'm
fine.
cold, okay?
It's good to me.
Like the only options it lets me do is 73 or 68.
Well, he pushed me that time.
No, but one time I pushed her back to the bottom. He's like,
I was like,
I
ah!
let her go fast.
We don't have cold people like really good breakfast. I tried to get him to the station. That voice, but he didn't do it.
Try something like
On one.
Ow.
Alrighty.
Ow. Why are you so mean?
I have too many good versions for you to have.
Let's look at this next one below it. Negative 3/4 x minus 5 is greater than 0.2. What do I need to do first?
Get rid of the fraction.
Get rid of my fraction. So what does that mean?
Multiply by 4.
Multiply everything by 4. What is 4 times negative 3/4 x?
Negative 3x.
Negative 3x. What is 4 times negative 5? Negative 20 is greater than. What is 4 times 0.2?
0.8.
0.8 or 0.8. Good. Now what do I need to do?
Get rid of the decimal.
Get rid of my decimal. What am I going to multiply by? Multiplying everything by 10 to eliminate that decimal. Multiply each term. 10 times negative 3x is?
Negative 30x.
Negative 30x. 10 times negative 20 is?
Negative 200.
Negative 200 is greater than, and 0.8 times 10 is 80. Oh, I said 80. 8, my bad. Now what do I do?
Add 200.
Add 200 to each side. Negative 30x greater than 208. Now what do I need to do?
Divide by negative 30.
Divide by negative 30. And what should you be hearing in your head?
Warning.
Bells and whistles, red flags. Just kidding. All right, so we've multiplied. And we're dividing by a negative number. We've got x is less than now. When we flip it, we would have 208 or negative 208 over 30, which we would need to simplify. What can I divide both of those numbers by?
10.
I have one that ends with an 8 and one that ends with a 0.
2.
Multiply and divide by 2. So negative 208 would become negative, what's half of 208? 104. And what's half of 30? 15. So I have 104 and 15. 15 I know is going to be 1 times 15.
Be a negative 15.
Well, I put my negative at the top.
Oh.
So it's just going to be a negative 104 over 15, or you could have 104 over negative 15. Either way, if you decided to use your calculator and divide that negative 208 by 30, you would have x is less than negative 6.93 with the 3 repeating. So you can either leave it as a reduced fraction or use your calculator. I would like you to go ahead and do the 2 on the right-hand side. Look at the second one. Look at the one at the bottom. I have 2 denominators. What am I going to have to multiply by to get rid of both of them? 12. Good, I've got to multiply by 12. So I know that means my top numbers are going to change. I'm not just going to have a 2 left and a 3 left. I'm going to have something different. So go ahead and work on those. Let me know if you need help. I'll be happy to help. Clear your fractions. Clear your decimals.
pretty good pencils. So I found this one.
The pencil chose you.
The wizard does not choose their wand. The wand chooses the wizard.
All of her Christmas is some pencils.
Me too. Maybe like little pencil boxes.
I asked for
My brother used to have.
You know, at one point in your class, I was actually taking notes with a sketching pencil for art.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
I think my brother kept them.
Actually did. I asked for a lot of things. I asked for some bananas.
Back to work.
They asked
I
for
mean,
bananas. Send picture of banana or picture as if they asked for.
What?
You could do it as a gag gift. And they say what they want, and then you could take a picture of that and then give it his picture.
Oh, I can't.
Just go the other way.
Yeah, I know.
Remember, he sees you when you're sleeping and he knows when you're awake.
This is-
It's like as a kid, just like, oh, it's normal now.
Have you seen that Frozen Forever thing? Breaking and entering. Okay on Christmas.
Wait, what?
In,
Is this
in a
her?
Frozen short, they point out how creepy it is, and they go, okay, so you tucked in a tree and you dress its corpse with candles, and then another thing is like, breaking and entering is okay on Christmas.
Okay, go
This is
back to
supposed to be a
work. so
happy
people
holiday.
can
It's the
focus.
purge.
Okay, so what are we multiplying everything by? Okay, put your parentheses around it and put a 12 on the outside. Now, remember, what is 12 times 2 and 24 divided by 3? 8. So you're going to have a negative 8x plus, that is 12 times 3.
What are you supposed to fight for 12?
Because you have a 3 and a 4. Okay. So you said 7 times 1x, 3x, 7 times 2, and 3 times 5. So your decimal, you only have one decimal place there, so that means you start at the one. So you're just going to okay, so now we need to clear our decimal. Number. Okay, so what is that? Okay, so put parentheses around it. So 10 times that is this. It's just like, and then 10 times 14. And then I'm at 10 times 30.6, it's just gonna be what? Great. That needs to move. I want to keep my x's on the left hand side, so I need this now. So how am I going to move positive 1? Good. Do it on each side. Left on the left hand side.
What's the relationship between are those together for operation?
Yeah, think about it. Maybe 21 would be a purge. Something. Think about it this year. 2021 is most likely to be everything legal, so we're gonna get the purge.
I have like 300 bags, but I'm not pulling them out for that.
We can't break them. They're too small. It's actually from.
Oh.
Oh, Kansas. It's Arkansas or Kansas? Oh, it's Kansas. Why is this coming? And this one here comes up. I'm not going to bring my
I know. Taller.
This
But not okay.
Yeah, and you do too.
What's 4 times 2? 4 divided by 3.
Well, I'm not going in a corner. You like,
we think my
It's not a quarter. It's or angles.
we all learn it.
angles and shapes.
You got it.
Wait.
No, no. Yeah, I just go.
I did that.
It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
And then
Wow. Wow. I shot down trees for families. It's just living. Oh, so you have no. I picture the guy grabbing a cow and he's like,
stabbing it.
grabbing a cow.
Grabbing.
Her grabbing child for. Is it his child? I don't know.
Hopefully it is.
Oh yeah, then you just. That's it.
45 years. I've seen that.
Yeah, I've seen that. Just in the movie early. The movie's like 5 minutes long. It's kind
Long.
Oh, who's Williams? Have you seen that?
No.
I'm not sure. It looks like someone's beating them.
I'm in a group chat with no one.
Okay, I can't even hear you anymore. I'm awfully glad.
I'm on a Discord server.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at these. So the first thing that we ended up having to do is we needed to get rid of our fraction. So we needed to multiply by 7. So I end up with x plus 14 is greater than, what is 4.8 times 7?
33.6.
33.6. What do I need to do next?
Multiply by 10.
Why am I multiplying by 10? Because I have one place after my decimal, so I have 10x plus 140 is greater than 336. What's my next step?
Subtract 140.
Subtract 140. Subtract 140 and 10x. That's not right backwards. 10 is greater than 336 minus 140 is 196. So I have 10 greater than. What's my next step? Divide by 10. Divide by 10. So x is greater than 96 over 10 reduced to
19.6.
Okay, you could have 19.6 as a decimal. What is 196 and 10 both divisible by? 2. So that would become what?
98 over 5.
98 over 5. So you could either leave it as an improper fraction, or you can write it as a decimal. Now let's look at the next one. We saw that we have 2 different denominators. So we know that we've got to multiply by a number that both of them divide evenly into. And so that is going to be 12. So now when I multiply 12 times negative 2/3, basically I'm saying, okay, what is 12 times 2? What's 12 times 2?
24.
24. What's 24 divided by 3? 8. So I know I've got a positive times a negative. So I have negative 8x plus, what's 12 times 3?
36.
36 divided by 4.
9.
9. So when I multiply that, I get 9. And then what is 0.44 times 12? 17.98? Huh? 28, thank you. What do I need to do here?
Multiply by 100.
Multiply by 100. Why am I multiplying by 100?
To get rid of the decimal.
I need to get rid of my decimal places. I have 2 places after the decimal. So I multiply by 100. So I have negative 800x plus 900 is less than 1,728. What's my next step?
Subtract 900.
Subtract 900. Because remember, my goal is all I'm trying to work to get x by itself. To undo, I need to do my reverse order of PEMDAS. So that means I'm looking to see, is there anything that's being added or subtracted that needs to move? We have plus 900, so we move it by subtracting 900. So negative 800x is less than 828. Next step. By dividing by negative 800. Circle my sign. I'm dividing by negative. So I have x is greater than. Now, 828 divided by 800. What is my decimal form? Did anybody do the decimal?
I got
1.035.
1.035. It will be negative because we have a positive divided by negative, so negative 1.035. What if I decided to leave it as a fraction?
207 over 8.
Negative 207 or just over 200. Decimal or a fraction. All righty. Ahead and move on to lesson 48. Lesson 48 is on page 105. Now, lessons 48 and lesson 49 go together. Okay, they're both dealing with absolute value, but the rules that I've got based on what direction my sign is facing. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. It says, recall from lesson 20 when you solve algebraic expressions with the absolute values. You set the expression inside the absolute value sign equal to both the positive and negative values of the expression on the opposite side of the equal sign. Two separate equations. So it says when the equal sign is placed with the less than symbol, these rules change. Okay, this is dealing with less than. So it says consider the expression at the absolute value of x is less than 3. This means that x could be less than 3 or negative x is less than 3. So I can combine a single expression where I have negative 3 is less than x, which is less than negative 3. So basically, the absolute value sign, x could be negative. They said, okay, I could have x less than 3, that's my positive, or I could say this is less than 3, and that I would have to divide both of those, my sign flip. Statement is negative is less than, which is less than 3. So it says, notice that the expression inside the absolute value sign appears in the middle of the expression. The expression on the side of the less than sign appears on the right-hand side and has its negative left-hand side. So basically what we've done is we put the expression inside the absolute is in the middle of the expression. So we started out with x inside my absolute value. It goes in the middle. And then I have the positives and negatives on either side. Okay, so I took the positive of this side. And the expression side, that's what that says. So our general pattern for the absolute value of A is less than B becomes negative B is less than A, which is less than B. So now let's look at our example. It says we need to solve x plus 2 or the absolute value of x plus 2 is less than 6. So it says first, follow the pattern above to rewrite the problem. So what I want you to do is I want you to underline that and I want you to put a number 1. Actually, I'll make it a little bit darker. This is number 1. We are writing it as a combined statement. Okay. So we took what was inside the absolute value to the middle, what is to the other side. So basically I've taken, it has gone to the middle. Me so far? I've taken the 6, I put the negative left, the positive on the right. So that goes to add negative. Then step is going to split the expression into 2 separate problems. Split the expression into 2 separate problems, whereas now I have taken negative 6 is less than x plus 2, and then I break it here and have x plus 2 is less than 6. Does everybody see how I did that? I took this one expression here, 2. So what I've done is I take my negative 6 is less than x plus 2 and put it here. Then I repeated x plus 2 is less than 6 over here. X plus 2's repeat. Okay, so it being in the middle means it goes with this one and it goes with this one in the appropriate signs and numbers. So step 3 says I need to solve each individual problem. So when I solve -6 is less than x plus 2, I know that now I need to subtract 2 from this side, which means I subtract 2 from this side. So now -8 is less than over here. I'm subtracting 2 from this side, subtract 2 again. So x less than 4. So this shows that the value of x must be greater than -8 and less than 4. So I can join my answers. So step 4 is to join them into a single expression. So these are the 4 steps that I need to use with a less than sign. Okay, these are all dealing with my less than sign. Now I want you to flip over to 49. It says it is imperative that you check the direction of the inequality symbol when solving an equation problem. The rules they're different depending on which symbol or which direction the symbol faces. You learned in lesson 48 how to solve the expression with a less than symbol. Now we're looking at the greater than. When the sign is replaced by the greater than symbol, our rule changing. Says when I have x is the absolute value of x is greater than 3, that means that x absolute value of x is greater than 3. This means that x could be greater or negative is greater than 3. Negative x, I've got to change to a positive. So I would do that by multiplying by a negative. So that means I'll have to flip my sign. So that means x is less than 3, negative. So I've got that now I've got opposite signs. X is either greater than 3 or x is less than -3. I can't combine that into a single expression because both of those situations cannot be true. And that's what it says. It says, notice these expressions cannot be combined into a single expression, but x cannot be greater than 3 and less than -3 at the same time. Whenever you have greater than symbol in an expression, rewrite the expression as 2 separate expressions joined by the word or. So the general pattern for solving absolute values with a greater than symbol is A is greater than B, or A is less than B. So remember a minute ago, we said that we would have -B is less than A, which is less than +B. So let's go ahead and at the top of go ahead and turn to absolute values inequalities number 1 in your packet. At the top of this page, yeah, the page that says number 1, absolute value inequalities 1. At the top of that page, okay, so at the top of that page, we're going to go ahead and write our 2 rules based on our signs. So the first one is going to be the absolute, absolute value of A is less than B, means that I'm going to do -B less than A is less than B. whatever number is inside my absolute value symbol goes to the middle. Whatever this number is, I put in. And I'm fine if my sign is, then I know I'm going to have A is greater than B, or A is less than negative B. So depending on if my sign is greater than or less than, I've got two different rules that I'm going to have to follow. I just wanted you to go ahead and write those at the top of your paper. We're going to go back and practice with these. Okay, so once you've gotten that written down, we're going to go back.
Wait.
Oh, you need me to go back?
Yeah, I didn't get it on.
So the absolute value of A is less than B, less than. B is less than A, which is B. Because I could have a number in here. Like if this was -3 and this was +3, I've got the numbers -2, 1, 0, 1, and 2 that fit in the middle there. I could have numbers that are both less than A. I'm sorry, less than A and A. But in this, you can't have A is greater than A is less than A, because I can't have a number is less than a negative number and positive is greater than a positive number. So let's go back to we are dealing with our less than sign. So we know here we're dealing with the absolute value of A is less than B, means I've got negative B is less than A, which is less than B. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this one. 5x, the absolute value of 5x is less than x plus 12. Okay, remember the first thing I've got to do is I've got to set this so I know that I can have that x is in my middle. Okay, I know that x is going to go in the middle. So now I've got to look at the negative form of this and the positive form. The positive form is going to be easy because it's going to be writing it exactly as it is. But think about if I take the negative of x plus 12, that means I've got negative x plus 12. If this negative is outside parentheses, what does that mean I have to do to everything inside parentheses?
Distribute.
I've got to distribute that negative. So this is like having a 1. What's negative times x? Negative x is -1, positive 12. Negative 12. So that becomes negative x minus 12 is less than 5x. And then I'm going to go write the word and because this is where I'm separating the two. 5x is less than x plus 12. So the first thing we did is we set up our equation to where we took what is inside the absolute value symbols and put it in the middle. That was my first thing I did. Then I set up my two less than symbols. Remember, absolute value of A is going to go in the middle. And then this considered B, everything on this side is B, like in our little pattern that we wrote at the top of the page on our worksheets. This is B, so I have to have negative B on this side and positive B over here. Positive means it's just exactly as it is right here. Negative means I have to take the opposite of it. If I'm taking the opposite of one term, I have to take the opposite of both, okay? So now I go ahead and start solving each of them for x. So I have negative x minus 12 is less than 5x. What do I need to do? I need my x terms to be on one side. What side do you want them on? We could go left or right. It doesn't matter. In this situation, if it makes you a little more comfortable, I can go ahead and actually, in this situation, we do want to keep them on the right because we want to keep it in the middle, okay? So let's go ahead and say, let's add x to each side. So I have negative 12 is less than 6x. Now what?
Divide
5.
6.
Okay, I need to divide both sides by 6. Okay. So divide by 6, divide by 6. -2 is less than x.
Oh.
Okay. Now let's go to divide. 5x is x plus 12. Where do I want my x values to be here?
No.
On the left-hand side, so I'm going to subtract x. 4x is less than 12. What's my next step? Divide by 4. Divide by 4. X is less than 3. And now this is where I join the two in one statement, and I have -2 is less than x, which is less than 3. The first thing we did is we looked at what is inside my absolute value symbols, and we wrote that in the middle of our single statement. Then we looked at what is on the right-hand side, and that just copied right over on the right-hand side. But for my left-hand side, I had to take the negative of that statement. So x plus 12 became x minus 12. So I broke my one single statement that had 3 parts. I broke it into 2 singles where my 5x is part that's written. So x, negative x minus 12 is less than 5x. I have 5x less than x12. So now I've got separate problems that I'm working. I solve and then I put them back together with that common x in the middle. Let's look at the next one. What is going to be in the middle of my common statement? What's going to go in the middle?
2x plus 5.
2x plus 5. Why? Because it's inside the absolute value sign, right? So I'm going to have 2x plus 5. And then I'm going to set up. Oh, sorry, I messed up. Hold on. This one has another step to it. All right. So in this one, remember, the first thing I've got to make sure is that I only have an absolute value on one side. If I have something other than my absolute value symbol, I have to move that. Okay, so let's take a look at this one real quick. I only want my absolute value symbol over here. What is on this side with it? 7. He needs to move. He needs to go away because absolute value has to be by itself. How am I going to move that positive 7? Subtract it. So I'm going to take away 7 from each side. So now I have the absolute value of 2x plus 5 is less than 11. Now I can go ahead and set it up where I have 2x plus 5 in the middle. And I have my signs on either side. I took this, put it right here in the middle. I set my 2 less than signs. What's going to go right here? 11. That's my easy one. I just copy it exactly as it is. What goes over here? Negative 11. Yeah. I just take the negative of it. Kinsley?
Is it less than or greater than? Because my book says greater than.
Are you on lesson 8?
Never mind. There.
There we go. Okay, so now we have 2x plus negative 11 is less than 2x plus 5, which is less than 11. So now on the right page?
I was on 49.
Lesson
I was on
48.
49.
It is the same problem, but your symbols are facing the wrong direction, right? Or different directions. Okay. So once we have our common statement, what do we have to do? Break it into 2, right? So what is my first statement going to be? Does that help? My first statement is gonna be what's in red. Negative 11 is less than 2x plus 5. I'm gonna write the word and. Then I start here with this 2x plus 5, and I've got 2x5 is less than 11. Is everybody comfortable with how to break that into statements? Did I hear a no? Or is everybody okay with it? So what I'm looking at is when I have it as one joint statement, where I have my negative value is less than my absolute value term, which is less than my positive value. If it helps to bracket them so you can see everything that I've got combined, this one is less than this one is my first problem. This is my second problem. And now I solve each of them. Negative 11 is less than 2x plus 5. What am I going to do first?
Get rid of the 5.
I need to get rid of the 5. How do I move it?
Subtraction.
Subtract 5, subtract 5. What is negative 11 minus 5?
Negative 16.
Negative 16 is less than 2x. What's my next step?
Division.
Divide by 2, divide by 2. Negative 16 divided by 2 is negative 8 is less than x. So there's our first one. Now we go to the other side. What am I going to start with?
5.
What am I moving?
5.
The 5. I'm going to move it by subtracting. Subtract. So 2x is less than, what's 11 minus 5? 6. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. X is less than 3. So my common statement with all of this together will be negative 8 is less than x, which is less than 3. Let's do the next one. What am I going to need to move first before I can even start putting anything in a common statement?
5.
I've got to move that 5 because I need my absolute value to be alone. Subtract 5 from each side. So I have the absolute value of 3x plus 7 is less than, what's 2 minus 5? Negative 3. Opposite signs, take the sign of the larger, find the difference. So now I've got 3x, the absolute value of 3x plus 7. That's going to go as my middle term, 3x plus 7. Put my less than signs on either side. Now, what is this?
Negative 3 positive 3.
A negative 3, right? So that is what comes on this hand, on this side. What's going to come over here?
Positive 3.
Okay, because this was what it is, it stays on the right-hand side. Over here, I have to take the negative. What is the negative of negative 3? Positive 3. Okay? So now I break it into 2, where I have 3 is less than 3x plus 7, and 3x plus 7 is less than negative 3. Let's start solving the left-hand problem. 3 is less than 3x plus 7. What needs to move first?
7.
7. I'm going to move it by subtracting. What's 3 minus 7?
Negative 4.
Negative 4 is less than 3x. Next step.
Division.
Divide by 3. Divide by 3. So negative 4/3 is less than x. 3x plus 7 is less than negative 3. What am I going to do first?
Subtract 7.
Subtract 7, subtract 7. So 3x is less than, what's negative 3 minus 7?
Negative 10.
Negative 10. Divide by 3, divide by 3. X is less than negative 10/3. So let's take a look at this. I've got negative 4/3 is less than x, which is less than negative 10/3. Right now, you might not be able to see it very well, but what is 4/3 as an improper fraction?
1 1/3.
1 1/3. Okay, so negative 1 1/3 is less than x, which is less than, what's negative 10 divided by 3? How many times will 3 go into 10?
3 1/3.
3 1/3. negative 1 1/3 is less than x, which is less than negative 3 1/3. Can a number be less than 3 1/3 and greater than negative 1 1/3? Think about your number line. If I'm on a number line, which number is larger, negative 1 or negative 3?
Negative 1.
Negative 1 is larger than negative 3. Right? So, does not make a true statement? My answer is no solution. So on the other ones, every time we've looked at it, it has made a true statement. So we've got to look and see. Let's look back at the first one. Is negative 2 less than 3?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Look at our next one. Is negative 8 less than 3?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. But when I compare and look at this one, negative 1 1/3 or negative 1, if I just even forget about the fractions, negative 1 is not less than negative 3. Negative 3 is a smaller number. So if you find that it is not making a true statement, then the answer is no solution. Okay? So what I want you to do for homework tonight. Homework. We're going to do solving inequalities. Number 1, page 1 of your packet. So I'm going to go ahead and write this right here. Page 1 of packet. And then we are going to do activities 2 on page, what page is that? Page 106, activities 2. And page 106, activities 2. So you're doing your first page of your packet. First page of your packet, and then page 106, activities 2 in your book. You do not have to write this on separate paper, okay? Come to class with it all completed on Thursday.
The entire packet?
Page 1 of your packet and page 106, activities 2 are due on Thursday. I will be checking and giving a homework grade on Thursday. Don't come out here without your work done. You can keep it for the day, and you can just go ahead and keep it. I've got extras in my bag. Okay. I hope everybody has a good week, and I will see y'all on Thursday.
Wait, what are the sign? What are the signs with the lines under them?
You mean like this?
It's just a quiz.
Yeah.
That means less than or equal to.
Oh.
Yeah, it's-
Or if it's greater than or equal to, it's going to be the opposite.
Oh, I am failing.
What percentage?